Hey guys, it is Friday, April 18th, 2025, and I'm back with some free VST plugins to help you with your musical adventures and endeavors. All right, guys, we are pretty much a little bit past the halfway part of the month of April 2025, which has been themed with free VST compressors. That's a carryover theme from last month. And I'm also talking about other plugins along with that. Anything that's relevant that I'm working with, or anything new that's worth talking about. 100% free, that is. So let's jump into it for today. The free plugins for today are as follows. So for this week, I had an extremely busy week. I was on the road working, and I just got back to the studio in town yesterday, late last night, actually midnight, Friday morning. So today I'm just gonna do one live stream for this week, because tomorrow I gotta release my Saturday videos for my series, which I'll talk about at the end. But so today we're just gonna be doing one video. We're gonna go through about 5 to 6 compressors and one other plugin, which I'll touch on at the end, but we're gonna have a little fun with it. So for today, first up, we have DB Comp. All of these, well, all but one of these compressors are from Analog Obsession. So DB Comp is from Analog Obsession. It's playing off of and emulating a very famous, legendary hardware compressor from the hardware days. Next up, we have PreRoll, which is more of a bus style compressor, so like a VCA compressor. Next up, we're gonna have Colin from Analog Obsession once again, which I think it's more like a Vermu style compressor. And then we have Spec Comp from Analog Obsession. Then we have FET CB, once again from Analog Obsession. And finally, from the developer Minimal Audio, we have Squash, which is another interesting compressor that we're gonna look at. So real quickly, let's look at this download page here. You just click on the download link and it'll take you here. It's pretty straightforward. Do what you got to do to download it. There's some information about it here. I'm not going to go through all the Analog Obsession pages, so we'll just do this one real quick. They'll pretty much all look like this. You go to the specific download link based on your OS. For this one, it's a bundle they have, so you can scroll down. You can check out the other ones, but the download link for Colin will be right here, under here. Scroll down, and these will be the link for that one specifically. If you want to check out the other plugins, the download links are there for them also. And PreRoll is the same thing. It's a part of the Brit bundle. So you would once again scroll down to where you see PreRoll, and down here we have the different download links. So it says right here, PreRoll, Mac, PC. Download which one caters to your needs. All right, I think that's it for that. So let's jump over to the DAW real quick. So because once again I was busy out of town working, I didn't have time to work on a beat, so we're just gonna do all this stuff on a drum loop, and then we'll talk about that a little bit at the end. So this is the drum loop. All right, guys, so we're gonna be working with that, and I'm just gonna be messing with the compressors while that loop plays. All right, so here we go. All right, so with DB Comp, the interface is resizable, so let's do that. And pretty straightforward. We got threshold, compression, I should say, output knob. We have a mix knob for parallel compression, and then there's a high pass frequency filter here to cause the compressor to not overreact to low end frequency, depending on the sound that you are compressing, the audio source, and how you want the compressor to react. So let's dial in some settings. I'm gonna do one of those tricks that I learned where you either pull the threshold all the way down and then dial in the compression that way, or dial the compression knob all the way in and then do the threshold. One or the other. But that's like a glue style compression. And because we're dealing with a kit that has, you know, different sounds on it, different sound sources, and you're trying to glue it all together, I'm gonna try that technique. So here we go. So I'm gonna pull the compression all the way down and then release the compressor, and then slowly dial in some compression with the threshold all the way down. So let's push it to about negative 10 dB of gain reduction. All right, let's dial in some makeup gain. With this one, it's gonna be more of a vibey style compressor because you don't have any control over your attack and release settings. So it's just more about what the compressor does, how it does it, as far as how it reacts. So you're gonna get a specific sound and vibe from this compressor. But it has the capability to sound very transparent. It's bringing out the detail. I'm not hearing any pumping. So, you know, bringing some more details forward, a little bit more of the room tone. Let's see what happens if I crank it even harder. Let's say closer to about negative 20 dB of gain reduction. Around there. can hear the room reverb, the natural room kind of pumping a little bit, but it still sounds a little musical. Let's see what happens if I take off the high frequency filter, high pass. Actually still sounds pretty clean, pretty smooth. So this is it off. Now on. I'm gonna zoom in so you guys can see me turn it on and off and hear the difference. So it did a pretty good job taming the peaks with that very high compression level, and I was able to get it to sound transparent. Of course, I could crank the mess out of it and make it all pumpy and stuff. Even overcranked, it still sounded pretty musical to me. Very interesting. All right, let's move over to the Brit compressor. I'm gonna try not to drag this video out too long. So with this one, it has a limiter and a compressor. So I remember initially when they first did this, there was confusion with the labeling and the color coding, but now they've actually labeled it. So up here, these two knobs are going to be affecting the limiter, and then these two knobs with the orange numbering and labeling are the compressor settings. We have makeup gain here, ratio here. What I'm not feeling about this is I feel like the limiter is always on, and I would love to have an option to bypass and or turn off the limiter and just utilize the compressor, and vice versa. But I feel like the limiter is always on. We got some gain reduction happening here, and all I could do is change the time. I guess that's attack and release all together. And we have an A1, A2, which is auto 1, auto 2. They have some preset times. I'm assuming these are just attack times. I don't know what the release time is. Or is it recovery? I don't know. But that's all limiter settings. So down here, this is the compressor. Threshold. And see immediately we got the gain reduction meter for the compressor up here on the left, active now. So let's do 400 milliseconds, I guess, on the recovery time. the ratio up. 6:1. That's the highest ratio you can do. And then there's makeup gain. Over here on the side, it's for the they have like a EQ thing going on here. Not sure what that's about. There's a high pass filter over here. And then they have the external sidechain button. But they have high and mid frequency knobs. I think that might be dealing with something with toning, but it's very subtle. But the details should be in the description and in the manual, exactly what that's for. But this is more of a bus style compressor. All right, let's move on. Next up we have Colin, or Colin, however you want to say it. This one, once again, resizable. At first this looks simple, but there is a lot going on because we have attack, release here, attack and release knobs right over here, and then we have your input level, which is pretty much going to act like a combination of your threshold and your ratio knob all in one. The more you dial it in, the more you increase it, the more compression you're going to get. You'll see the gain reduction. So see the meter is starting to move based on how much input level I'm feeding into the circuitry. Power button to bypass it. Output for you to do your makeup gain. There's a mix knob here. These little screws right here, mix knob. And then high pass filter all the way up to 500 Hertz. Alright, let's dial in some settings. So do a fast attack. Fairly fast release. Well, the fastest release you can get is 100, so let's start there. Try to level match it. So you can hear this is very clamped. It's really catching the sound very quickly. Catching some of the transients. But it gives you a nice feeling as far as when it grabs the sound, how it kind of contains it, and the tone that it creates. So let's see what happens if I slow down the attack. So you definitely hear some more of the beginning transients coming through on the snare, the kick. You get a little bit more of a pop, a little bit more of a snap. So this one actually has a good sound, and you can really play with the dynamics, the finer points of the dynamics to kind of create the vibe that you want for a group bus situation. And then I'm sure this would work great with vocals also. Maybe something like a piano, more of an instrument and vocal type compressor. And when I say instrument, I mean like live instruments, real instruments. And I mean, you know, there's no hard and fast rules. You can do whatever you want with it. But I feel like it'll be gentle enough, but also give you enough of a vibe and a sound if you use it on those type of instruments and or vocals. But yeah, that's another option. Alright, let's go through these real quick. We have spec comp, threshold, ratio, makeup gain, the bypass button, external sidechain button, release, attack knob, and a knee. So let's dial up this knee a little bit. We'll start with a fast attack. The fastest is 50 milliseconds, and then the attack could go all the way up to 2 seconds, which is kind of ridiculous for an attack time, but for more legato sounds it works. Well, that was the release, sorry. The attack time, fastest attack time is 1.5 milliseconds. So let's bring the threshold all the way up here, and then slowly bring down the ratio. Get drastic with it. This compressor is actually pretty dirty, adding a bit of distortion. Kind of mild. This knob right here is your mix knob, by the way. It still sounds good. Still has a nice vibe. Let's do the reverse. Pull this all the way down, and then gently dial in the ratio. So when we do it that way, the gluing trick where you just pull the ratio all the way down and then slowly dial in, pull the threshold down and barely dial in the ratio, you actually get less distortion and it sounds a little bit more transparent. When you do it the opposite way, you get more distortion, a lot more character being added to the sound. So that's good to know. Alright, let's reset everything and dial it in a little bit more in a more normal way. So let's do about, say, 6 to 1, and then start bringing this down. So we get about 8 dB of gain reduction, negative 8 dB. Definitely not that transparent. Has a nice tone there. Alright, so we have FET, CB. This is the last of the analog obsession compressors for today. Attack, release. We got ratio down here. Threshold. Wet dry mix. And you have your output, which you would use for your makeup gain, in and out switch to bypass the plugin. These screws do nothing. Alright, let's dial in some quick settings. Let's do release about there. The attack time could be 0. Like around 10 millisecond attack time. 100 milliseconds on the release. And let's do ratio all the way. Well, threshold all the way first. And then dial in a little ratio. Let's do around there. Makeup gain. Not bad. Let's go for a slower attack. Alright, let's release this. Let's go higher. high ratio, and then slowly dial in the threshold. You get about 7 or so, -7 dB. Then doing it that way gets pretty dirty. So that's a choice. Wow, that's dirty. Alright, this is Squash from Minimal Audio. It is inspired by OTT, but they just did this minimal control thing. So what it feels like is that over here with the knob, if you're going horizontal left to right, you're affecting the tone as far as kind of like what band the compressor is focusing on. And when you push up, so if I push up in this area would be the low frequency area, mid frequency, high frequency, going from left to right. Going from up to down just increases the compression. So if you go up, it would help if I turned it on, right? There you go. It is aggressive. And then if I go up vertically, it seems to increase the compression. All the way to 0 goes to normal. Somewhat. So this would help if you're trying to bring out some extra character in something. I would say you could do this. Dial in something pretty aggressively. And then use the wet dry slider down here to mix it in parallel. So that's without it dialed in, and I have the wet dry set to about 20%, so I'm about to turn it on now. So definitely very aggressive, more like a sound design type of compressor, which, you know, it is inspired by OTT, so it makes sense. So the whole time you guys have been listening to this drum loop, it is a MIDI loop that I programmed in about an hour ago, and it is being played by Monster Drums. Link is in the description. Definitely check it out. There's a lot of kits available. Lots and lots of kits for different genres. So if you're looking for a live drum romper, this is a good one to check out. Monster Drums. Link is in the description. Developer Agus Hardiman. Agus Hardiman. So that is it for the video, guys. Definitely check those plugins out. The link is in the description. There is also a link in the description for my video series. It is a playlist with about 6 videos. Video series that I did a couple years back called PC Specs and how it relates to music production. So if you're looking to understand how your computer and its internal parts works along with your DAW to help you work smoothly when you're producing music, so you're not having any distracting issues like clicks, pops, audio dropouts, stuttering, your software freezing and or crashing while you're trying to work, and you're adding in new plugins but you're not getting a smooth performance. It becomes distracting. If you're having those issues, definitely check out that video series. It'll help you understand what could be causing the problem and what you may need to do to fix the problem. Also, there is a link in the description for a growing playlist for these videos that I do multiple times a week. If you're looking for more free VST plugins, definitely check out that playlist. Hundreds of videos up there. I think we're getting close to 400 videos. We might be at about 390. So a bunch of videos up there if you're looking for more free VST plugins, 100% free. So check that out. Also, there's a link in the description for my video series that I started this year called 52 Weeks of Reaper, where every week I break down a feature that makes Reaper so great. Key features in Reaper. So every Saturday I release a new video breaking down a key feature in Reaper. So tomorrow, which is probably today by now, I'll be releasing a new video. I think it should be week 16, and we're doing it for 52 weeks, so an entire year, 52 weeks of Reaper. So definitely check that out. Link is in the description for my socials if you guys need that. And check back next week as we continue the series for the month themed with free VST compressors. So check back next week for more free VST plugins, compressors, and other things. All right, guys, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching. And as always, you'll see me in the next video.